Hey everybody, my name is Catherine. I am an elementary ed major and a special ed minor. And today, the question that I am posing about this first video response is how have Sana and Carrie challenged our perception of comics as a whole? I really got a lot out of the videos that they did. I read the article and I liked it and I have some points from it, but mostly I'm going to be talking about what I learned from the videos because I just really found them helpful. But for me personally, after watching these videos and listening to these women talk about comics, it changed my perception in a whole new way because I used to see comics as weird, like anime, just weird things that I would never read. I had no impact on the world at all, and that quickly was changed after I watched these videos. A big thing for me was when Sana talked about how comics became a safe place for her because she never felt like she fit in. I feel like that's something every kid goes through, every like human as a whole goes through. Um, and how she talked about like the Cosby Show could be used as like a comic in a way to show that this minority group is more than what we put a label on. That was a big thing she talked about is labels that people put on us and labels we put on ourselves, and how sometimes that blurs the line between perspective and reality, and how comics can be used to bring it back down and clear that line out for us. She also said something like, why not tell stories that are challenging and inspire us to be better? I thought that was awesome, and I actually went and read some of the comics that she mentioned after that because it did inspire me to want to do things to make the world a better place. And I thought that was interesting because we want to impose positive things on this next generation as opposed to negative things. Um, I also liked how she talked about confronting the labels that you've been assigned and mold them. I think this is super important. And I think this is something that's really neat that comics can teach us is that we might be given a certain label, but it's our job to mold it into what we really want it to be. So if it's a negative label, we can mold it into a positive or vice versa. It's all about how we see like the world around us. And comics, this is another thing I learned was that comics can help us see the world through other people's eyes. Carrie Fransman talked about this. I thought this was really interesting because she actually worked with the Red Cross in Great Britain, and I thought that was super interesting because she talked about Abraham's story, who is a Syrian refugee that actually came over, and she was talking about how hearing him empowered her because she could never imagine going through what he went through, and how that comics kind of helped him escape. I thought that was something interesting that she talked about how using your imagination and escaping to other worlds is just this childlike medium with comics that we could have forever. So you never really have to be an adult. You can always escape in your comics and be a child. So also she talked about how when she went to this big comic convention, everyone that was there, they were eating, and as soon as the translator started eating, they couldn't really talk anymore, and all of a sudden they also just started communicating through comics. And I thought that was really neat that they could break down the language barrier and all be on the same level playing field, all through using this one simple art of comic. Something that I learned or wanted to talk about from the article that we read was how Miss Marvel is challenging Generation Y to be better than what people are putting on us and to be better than this stigma that we are these overly privileged parasites. I think that's really important to encourage our generation that to stick together because we have true potential, as it says in the article. Because I see that every day, especially with other generations saying, y'all are just entitled and you're not going to give anything to the world. And I think if we can set through comics to this generation that they can make a difference and they can change that perspective and that label, I think that's important that we do it in a way that's easy to communicate. And comics are worldwide. Comics are something that anyone and everyone can easily get access to now through the internet, and they can be translated. There's just so many opportunities for people to learn and to engage with one another through comics. So that's how my perception was changed through comics. My last question that I will give you is, how can you as a person use comics to better yourself in the world? Have a good one.